Welcome, welcome, my dearest friends, to Witchy Poo Plus. This week, we're going to be learning about the archetypes of consciousness. What is an archetype? Consciousness, in its raw form, is in everything we know and love, but that consciousness is refracted into parts by the process of life. These refractions of the whole are the archetypes. Every person and living thing is comprised of the archetype they are made of, and the added experiences they go through in each lifetime. Knowing someone's archetype will tell you how they react to the world, react to emotions, may give you insight into their interests and socialization styles and fears. Many practitioners recognize the archetypes in their own ways, including astrology. I am currently working on determining if the planets' placements align with certain archetypes, faces, or traits. This is just my way of understanding this vast universal concept, and it has helped me and mine understand life and the people in it. Hopefully, it will help you too. Does everyone have an archetype? Yes, every living thing has an archetype, including things created by living things, aka fictional characters. We form fiction in our own image, and our image is that of archetypes. How do I figure out what archetype someone is? When dealing with the complexities of the traits, you are going to look for an overwhelming weight of present traits in one archetype. Since the archetypes are vibration and have overlap with each other vibrationally, some traits also overlap. Due to this, you must look for a majority or a grouping of traits focused on one archetype. What are the archetypes? There are two kinds of archetypes: those who do not mix with each other, which I call your base archetype, and mixers, whom always show up mixed with a base archetype. The base archetypes are the judge, the beloved, the dancer, the scholar, the mother, the seer, the warrior, and the stranger. Mixer archetypes are the dream lord, the reaper, and the imposter. I have named all of these to represent the main qualities that they exhibit in their traits. Do archetypes have autonomy? No. Think of them like a character creation portion of a video game. The characters that choose the type have consciousness and autonomy and life, but the type itself is a raw program of data that informs the character how they will act, live in, and respond to the game. The character creator tool does not play the game, it is a function of the game. About this course. In this course, I will teach you the traits of each archetype that are found time and time again in fiction and real life, the alternate faces of each archetype and which traits are most common to each face, how to identify each archetype in your life, how to evaluate individuals to determine their archetype, how to find still undiscovered archetypal traits on your own, and how to identify the story arcs of your archetype and prepare for those things to happen to you in some way, giving you an edge in life. Now let's get some FAQ out of the way. Why do some archetypes have more traits than others? This is an ongoing study, and I do not have every archetype in my private circle yet. This makes it hard for me to get to the nitty-gritty nuances of some of the archetypes, since I only have an external view from my own dancer archetype's perspective. I know the most about the dancer, the warrior, and the stranger, because those are the people I am and live with. I try to take myself out of these studies as much as I can, so that means I must take care and find time finding the right people to join me in this research. Now, that includes you. Welcome. Why do you mark them with colors? During our early research in 2015, me and my husband discovered that the archetypes vibrate alongside the vibrations of the light spectrum. Their colors were some of the most obvious of the traits to each archetype, so calling them by the colors became the go-to colloquial term for them in my private circle. What are archetype faces? Each archetype has a certain number of faces. These faces further break down the archetype and type mixes to create more detailed individuals. Faces are determined by a majority grouping of traits as well. Think of the game again. Archetypes create your character's body and emotions. The face determines their personality, likes and dislikes, and talents, like a class chooser. And time or experiences can cause people to shift faces inside their archetype. Knowing how each face presents is very important, since one face of one archetype can be similar and mistaken for the face of another archetype. Do not jump into archetype and face identification until you have a grasp on all of the varying traits and how they are similar but different. Why did you call them phoenixes in the beginning? During the course of lives, consciousness types go through the same trials and tribulations we do, and can face death. When this happens, there is a huge lack of that archetype's presence in fiction. Babies being born with a lack of that archetype until it is reborn, and the intense feeling of detachment or a shift to a neighboring archetype from people already born from that archetype. Many times in fiction, this death may be played out over and over again in the span of a few years. In about 5 years or so, that archetype will re-emerge with slightly new traits, but still relevant to that archetype's self. Why are there so many negative traits on these lists? Everyone is a complex being made of kindness and rage, love and hate, awake and asleep. We are dual beings. Looking into your archetype and face can reveal uncomfortable parts you hide about yourself. But if you are honest, you can find out who you are and come to peace with your inner demons. Some faces are more negative than others as well, so depending on your face, you may avoid some of the darker traits that can be found in an archetype. And having a negative trait does not doom you. It only shines a light on what you need to work on in yourself and be aware of when dealing with others. Conscious choices can be made outside of what your archetype suggests. It is just what you are naturally inclined to do, not what you will do. What's the difference between archetypes in real life, religion, and fiction? In life, the traits are numerous and complex, but the archetype is usually immediately clear to the trained eye. Mixers are common. In religion, the traits are focused on extremes and dramatic complexities, with a very obvious and obsessive focus on one or a few traits. These are found in gods and mythological heroes of all faiths. In fiction, traits are easy to spot, but weave together relating stories and ideas to match against the other works to see what is happening in the stories of the archetypes, which leads to endless research. Thank you for attending this first lesson on the archetypes. I will see you next month for a look into each archetype and their list of traits. Stay safe out in the world, and I will see you later. Bye!